Should you buy a cheap power supply for your computer? The simple answer is definitely no. But let me take you through 6 reasons why you should not buy a cheap one. Reason number 1. Good power supplies have some protections in place to help protect the computer, such as overcurrent protection, over voltage protection, and so on. But some of the cheap ones will have little to no safeguards. Also, when a cheap power supply does malfunction, there is a chance that it could ruin other computer components at the same time, such as the motherboard, graphics card, or potentially anything that is connected to it. But if you have a good one instead, it's much less likely to cause any problems at all. Reason number 2. Cheap PSUs are more likely to have a shorter warranty. Warranties tend to vary from 1 to 10 years. Personally, I recommend getting one that has a 3-year warranty or more. This will help you avoid almost all of the cheap and nasty power supplies that are out there today. Number 3. All PSUs have a continuous power rating and a peak power rating. So let's say we have a power supply that has a continuous power rating of 500 watts and a peak power rating of 600 watts. This means that it can produce 500 watts all day, every day. The peak power tells us that it can produce 600 watts for a short period of time. Usually this amount of time is anything between a few seconds and 1 minute. A good reputable vendor will class a product like this as a 500 watt power supply, just as you would expect. But some of the vendors might class this as a 600 watt power supply. Well, as you can see, this is simply bending the truth. Whilst we're on the subject of wattage, this is a chart from a good 750 watt PSU. Notice that the 12 volt rail can produce all of the wattage by itself. This is exactly what we want. So why do we want this? Well, computers today mostly use the 12 volt rail. The 3.3 and 5 volt rails are used, but not anywhere near as much, as you can see here. This was the power usage whilst a computer game was running. Obviously results will vary, but this does give you an idea of how much the 12 volt rail is used compared to the other two. So if you see, let's say for example, a 550 watt power supply that can produce 550 watts on the 12 volt rail, or very close to that, this is absolutely fine. But if it falls far short of this, this should be a red flag to you and should be avoided. Reason number 4. Cheap power supplies are more likely to use cheap components. Some of them also have inadequate cooling. Because of this, they're more likely to fail. Number 5. Cheap PSUs often have bad power efficiency. So let's say we have a 600 watt power supply and the computer needs 300 watts. It may be that the PSU will be pulling about 430 watts from the wall to make this happen. This means that about 130 watts are being wasted as heat. So this power supply is only 70% efficient. But in the same scenario, this time with one that is 80% efficient, this would now be pulling 375 watts from the wall and only wasting 75 as heat. Any power supply that is 80 plus certified will be at least 80% efficient at 20, 50 and 100% loads. There are also PSUs that are 80 plus bronze certified, 80 plus silver certified, gold, platinum or titanium. The titanium ones will be at least 90% efficient at 10, 20, 50 and 100% loads. Make sure yours is at least 80 plus certified, otherwise you could be wasting a lot of money on your electric bill. And finally, number 6. Some of the cheap power supplies have their fans spinning at 100% speed all the time. This creates unnecessary noise, whereas a better one will vary its fan speed, such as 50% fan speed when it reaches 30 degrees centigrade, then 60% when it reaches 40, and so on. Some of them won't even turn the fan on until it's needed at a certain temperature. All this means that it will make no more noise than is necessary, but some of the cheap ones are very loud all the time, regardless of their current temperature. So those are my 6 main reasons why you should avoid a cheap power supply. As you can tell, they're really not worth it. Stick to the brands that have a good reputation. This way you're more likely to have a good PSU that should last you for quite a few years with no problems. Thanks for watching. I hope you found this video useful. Please subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you in the next video.